this is Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And oh yeah, on today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers The Last Knight Leader Class Dragonstorm. For the package, rather large as you can see. You got a really cool image of Dragonstorm in his three-headed dragon mode. Obviously you got an open window that fully showcases the figure. You got the Transformers text, the Last Knight logo. And then what this basically does is takes two Voyager figures for the most part and actually combines them into one dragon, which is kind of what the Knights did in the movie. Now granted, it was like 12 of the Knights that combined to create the dragon, but it's kind of cool that they actually did this. But it does say that it's a leader class, and that's mostly because the size classing always refers to the alt mode. And this is pretty big. You come around here to the side and it says he's a three-headed fire-breathing dragon. So there you go. Then you come to the back of the package and you can see Storm Rain and then Dragonicus, or Dragonicus. I have no idea how you say that. And then how they combined here to actually form Dragonstorm. And he actually has a little bit of a read up right here that says, as colossal forces threaten the universe, Knights of Cybertron, Dragonicus, and Storm Rain rise to become an even greater one, the mighty fire-breathing Dragonstorm. But for the packaging on this guide, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Dragonstorm opened up and out of this packaging. And obviously, as you can see, he transforms into that three-headed dragon that we saw towards the end of The Last Knight. Now, as I indicated before, spoiler alert in the film, but at this point in time, if you haven't seen the movie, you're probably not going to see the movie. To form this, 12 actual knights came together to create the dragon. And the dragon was massive. It was still a three-headed dragon, but in terms of toy form, we only get two figures that create it. That obviously being Storm Rain and Dragonicus. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say the name, but that's what I'm going to do for the remainder of this video, so get used to it. But overall, I am really happy with how it turned out. I mean, he cleans up fairly decently for basically being two figures combined. I mean, when you look at it, you almost wouldn't tell up front. I mean, it obviously is a robot, but I think they do a really good job of hiding a lot of the kind of parts that come together. I mean, obviously, a lot of it is because he's almost like a shell. Well, I should say Dragonicus is like a shell that kind of wraps around Storm Rain. But now, taking a look at the heads. Now, one thing that I will talk about is there were some early reports about breakage on this guy. I don't have any problems whatsoever, and I'm not really concerned about it. One thing that I will say, though, is that they have those little tiny kind of plastic pieces that are a little bit stretchy, I guess, really kind of all over the heads here. I think there was like 2 or 3 of them around the head itself. So if you're just going to try to pull this out of the tray, you're probably going to snap something. So just make sure you go through, and if it doesn't come out of the tray easily, you probably missed a little tie. So just look at it and make sure that you got everything. You can see that the head sculpts are all basically the exact same. They kind of, well, I mean, paint variation is a little different on each of them. It almost kind of looks like they're all hand painted, because like you got in the center one here, you got some silver through like the top area. I mean, the predominant color is this orange and black, and then you open the mouth, you got some nice kind of orange on the inside as well. But like, for example, this guy over here doesn't have the same silver in the same spots. He does have some, but it's a little bit different. Same thing with this guy. This one almost, well, yeah, he does have some silver as well, but they're all mostly the same, but slightly different on each one, which I dig. I mean, that's a really cool way of doing that in terms of giving each one of them a slightly different look, getting the heads a little bit out of the way, and then coming to the back. I love the paint detail on the back and the wings. I mean, you can see the wings have this kind of grayish color on the bottom, and then you can see a lot of silver painted on these different ridges. I really love the way that that looks. From almost every angle, you get a really cool reflection and very metallic and alien kind of look. You got just that base plastic here on the bottom, so you can see that the top section has the nice silver, whereas the bottom is just the base color. You take a look at the back of the body, you can see a lot of nice silver on there as well. You got that kind of cream color throughout it, but the silver kind of is on the top of the cream in some areas to kind of bring out some of those sort of different levels. I mean, that kind of goes down here with some of the paint variation. You have that as well with some nice paint variation, but we see more of that in the robot mode. You look at the tail and you can see you got that gray, that base plastic with some cream on there. You got a just kind of gray tail, but then the tip right here is this nice silver paint. Again, you got that really cool detailing, very much like the back and the wings. You look at some of the sculpted detail here for the legs. One thing I will say is because obviously you're creating two different robots after this, some of the colors don't always match up, but it's not too bad. Like for example, you got the black and everything. That's a little bit more in Dragonicus than Storm Rain, but you still have a lot of really nice molded detail in the legs. Kind of wish that some actual, airbrushing or dry brushing or something like that was put in there to kind of pull some of those details out. Same here with the front legs. You got some nice sculpting with not so much like veins or anything, but it's a lot like the kind of line work that the wings and the back have. So it's nice to see that carries on throughout the entire body. It also does that with the neck area as well. Just overall, really good sculpt on this guy. Now, he does come with a couple of accessories. Well, both of them come with one. So Skyrain comes with this mace here. You got a little peg right here that you can peg on the back. I'll show that in a second, but you got the little mace. It's just done in this kind of light gray plastic. Nothing overly spectacular with that. You can take this and you can peg it right there. You could spin it around. You can peg it right there. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter which way you want to peg the thing. And then Dragonicus comes with two swords. Very simple, but very kind of bulky. I mean, these are kind of swords that you would imagine just being swung around to just bash things for the most part. I mean, by comparison, here is both Steelbane and the Skeletron, but you can see this is a little bit thinner. You can imagine people being a little bit more elegant in their fighting method with this. Whereas this one somebody's just got a sharp edge on it. He's just swinging it around, bashing things. I dig that, mostly because Dragonicus is the bigger of the two robots. And then you can come around here to the bottom, and you can tab these on the underside of the wings, just like so. So you do have weapon storage for him. This is kind of blah. I mean, you probably could have done a better job of hiding it somewhere else, but it is what it is. For his articulation, you got a joint right here, so you can get a nice flapping motion right there. Then you got another one just above that. And then in the mid part of the wing, it doesn't go down anymore, but you can get it flexed up like that. So you can get it kind of curved up like so. So you do get some nice kind of posing options with those wings. The actual necks are a little bit kind of limited. I mean, you got a ball joint down here. These are going to be the arms in robot mode. So you got a ball joint right down there. You have a hinge. Well, you got the ball joint down there, and then you got it, or a swivel at the what is going to become his bicep. So you do have all that. You got a bend here at what's going to become his elbow. This part right here flexes. The head can tilt up and down. All three of them have that same range of motion. So like I said, you're not going to, I mean, you kind of can get them turning by using that shoulder joint. So you can get them rotated like that. But I kind of wish that the actual neck joint, or more up towards here, had a little bit of a rotation, and that would have been the ideal in my opinion. But, you know, a fire-breathing dragon is probably going to have all the heads kind of going like this, to breathe fire on you. The back legs here are on little swivels. It probably, if you go back too far, you'll probably knock things out. So just push that back up there. You got a swivel going forward and back. They have a ratchet joint moving in and out. Nothing really at the knee as it kind of locks into place. So it's kind of stuck right there. I mean, you can detach it, and like you see, it ends up creating a really ugly look. So it's not really meant to be articulated too much. And I jacked it up here in the dragon mode, and I jacked up everything down here, so there you go, clean that up. So you don't, like I said, have a lot of range of motion there for the actual leg. The ankles do have ball joints as they're the feet for Dragonicus, so you can kind of swivel that around. It moves forward and back, not really much of an ankle tilt. These front legs here, they can move forward and back. They're on ball joints, so you can move them forward, back, in and out. He does bend here at the elbow. It does lock into place, kind of helps to kind of support the weight of them, but you can bend it if you really wanted to. And then you come down here to the wrists, and those are on little swivels. Good, real nice detail with these. You got some like claws and everything. I love the way that looks. So overall, decent articulation. You kind of have to leave the legs, these back legs, all the way back like so, and then you have to make sure that these are positioned as far forward as you possibly can so that he's not leaning too far down. As you can see, he already does kind of slope. I kind of wish you could get a little bit more of an upright stance with him, but that's just It's not really going to happen too well because these front arms or legs or whatever you want to call them are just a little bit too short for the most part. But you can get the head angled back so you can get him looking like he's more upright. But in terms of dragon mode, I love the way that the guy looks. I'm in general very happy with how this guy turned out. I think he's really cool and very menacing looking. Now, first transformation, you basically have to separate everything and pull the two parts together. So I'm going to take out his weapons. You don't necessarily have to take these ones out. I'll leave those on there because why not? So first we're going to come down here. You got a little tab right here. That's what I kept fighting with. You want to kind of pull that away from the body like so, and then swivel these legs out, just get them out of the way. So again, you got a little tab that locks into this green section. Just kind of pull that away like so, swivel that out there, get that out of the way, come around to the underside, take these little front legs, just extend these up, again, just get it kind of out of the way and make it a little bit easier, and then you need to come around here and separate this piece, just kind of rotate this around, just like that. If you had everything kind of out of the way, it should be easy to kind of hinge this out, and then just take this entire middle section out like so. We're going to put Dragonicus off to the side for right now. Focus here on Stormrain a little. Take these legs, bring this down. You got a little hinge right here, so you want to separate this, hinge this down, bring that down and lock that into place. Point the toe forward, come around here, take this, lift this up, you can rotate this around, take this little tail piece, fold that in on itself, and then fold that up into the leg, and then fold the little foot out as well. Rotate these legs around, make sure that, like, that is wrong. Make sure you rotate it so that it's in the proper position, just like so. And then rotate here at the waist, come around here to the back section, kind of get that out of the way. You can then rotate this piece around like so, reach in here, grab this arm, pull this out and extend that. Then you got like a double hinge thing right here, so you want to rotate this down and then at the same time basically kind of fold it at this other hinge. So again, one more notch down and then fold that up. Then you can rotate his head around like so, spin these arms down. This back section, you kind of have, it doesn't really lock in very well, but you got like these grooves right along here that kind of slot between these two little teeth right below this little, I guess, screw thing. So it just kind of sits there and kind of sits. It doesn't really lock in very well. So it does tend to keep that wobbly, which is a little unfortunate. Now I'm just going to bring this in to pull his hand out because his hand gets stuck in there fairly well. Rotate that around, rotate him here. You can play with this however you want, but get the bicep rotated so that you can bring his arm to the proper position. Come around here, do that on this side as well. Again, kind of get this out of the way. There we go. Rotate this around. I had that the wrong way. You can spin that, you kind of push that, and that helps to push that hand out. Pull that little piece back, rotate that around just like that. Kind of fiddle with the legs again to just kind of push that in there to kind of hold that in. It doesn't, like I said, really lock into place very well, but when you're done, there you have Stormrain. I keep wanting to call him Skyrain. You can take this, you can have him hold it, which is fine. I'll do that for right now and set him right back there. Then you come to Dragonicus, and then this gets a little bit more tricky to do. You want to rotate these arms down and then collapse them up on the elbow section. Push that all the way and then kind of straighten this, and as you straighten it, pull it down, this whole section kind of rotates. So, well, it's a little bit tricky to do. So you had it like that, rotate it around, and then spin and tuck that up under just like that. Get that kind of out of the way. So again, you're going to kind of rotate this around out to the side, bring this down, kind of straighten it, rotate, and you get it tucked in like that. And then take these and just kind of push them as far back as you really can, so that you have the clearance for his head to rotate, because if you don't, it'll hit these back claw things. So just kind of collapse that in there. Then the head is right here. You do have to be a little bit careful when you're rotating this around. It tends to want to hit this piece right here. So just pull that out like so, rotate that around like that, keep that tucked in there, and then just rotate these pieces and keep that out of the way. Get these little shoulder pieces out of the way so that it can clear that, and then bring the two halves together just like so. Now this is kind of what I was talking about. Make sure that these little claws are pushed back as much as you can so that the head gets the range of motion that you need to rotate it. You can rotate these arms around, then get that down like so, down like so. Come down here. You want to then take this back, well, knock him down. Look at that, they're buddies and they're beating each other up. So take this, separate this, and then you can hinge that all the way down and then straighten it and then give this little push, and that'll lock that into place. Take the little heel spur from the dragon mode, tuck that in, and then rotate at the upper part of the thigh. Well, actually, no, you wanted to leave that out. Those are supposed to be away in the dragon mode. I'm sorry. So that's the actually front of his foot. Oops. Sorry, guys. Why didn't somebody tell me that? So again, separate that, straighten that all the way out, give that a push, lock that into place. Because I had that out, I'm going to leave it out. Rotate there, then hinge these pieces up and in, and then they sandwich together just like so. Come around here to these arms. That's the way that they go. Kind of push through here, lift that little flap out, fold that up and around, tuck that down, do that on this side as well. Kind of push that through, bring that down, rotate there, and then again you can fiddle with these how you see fit. I mean, it's just a little shoulder piece, so you can position that how you want. Then these wings, I just like folding them kind of in like so, balance them a little bit, and then there you have Dragonicus in his robot mode, as well as Stormrain, the two of them combined to form Dragonstorm. And what you can see for the transformation, they are fairly simple to do. I think they both turned out really very nice. Now starting off first with Stormrain here, as you can see, you can have him hold his mace. You can also store it here in robot mode. Come around here to the back, got a little peg hole right there. You can just take that and slot that in there if you really wanted to have it kind of like over the shoulder. He does have kind of a hollow kind of look. I mean, you come to the back, I mean, and even if you move this down, I mean, he really is just hollow. I do kind of wish that this could rotate and collapse to become his back. That probably would look a little bit better. I mean, as it is, it just... that's kind of weird. It's not terrible, and from the front he looks pretty good. I mean, I don't know a lot of people that display their figures, you know, with the back facing us, but he is pretty cool looking still nonetheless. Really nice paint variation here in the chest area. You got some of that kind of cream color on top of the gray. You got some nice bluish down there. Really nice kind of wash throughout the entire body area. It kind of lacks in the arms. You got that same molding, but a lot of those paint washes basically are non-existent there, which is a little unfortunate. Great head sculpt, I love that. Obviously they have the whole night thing going for them. You can actually see, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but you can kind of sort of see that there's like red paint underneath there for the eyes. And then you come down to the legs, and again you got that kind of additional paint application on the top. It does get a little bit spotty, like for example there's like nothing there on the knee area and then nothing down around the ankle. So again, I do wish that there was a little bit more put into it for the paint. Obviously Takara will probably come out with one that's much better, but for a retail figure I'm pretty happy with how this guy looks. And as you can see, I mean, they both are roughly Voyager size. They're a little bit smaller now, bringing these guys kind of off. Here they are next to Voyager class Scorn, and as you can see, due to the fact that these two have to come together to make one robot, they're much less bulky and much more simplified, but size-wise, they're about right. And honestly, I kind of like having Scorn here with him because there was a Red Knight, and because Scorn is a Red Knight, I kind of like having them. And then rounding out the rest of my Knight collection, here they are with Steelbane and of course Skeletron. And this does look really cool together. This to me is a nice display for the Knights of Iacon. Now for Stormrain's articulation, one thing that I will mention, bringing this kind of down, due to the way that this is sculpted and molded, you can kind of see that there's a gap right there. There isn't one here. So in terms of the articulation, you can see he's got a fairly long and extended chin piece. The head will look that way. It won't look that way because as you can see, this kind of slots underneath that little gap. There is no gap there. So the head can't look to the left. That's kind of unfortunate, if you ask me. It really does limit things. I mean, you kind of have to, if you want him on an angle, you kind of have to always have him pointing this way. I mean, you can't do it. I mean, it goes a little bit. I mean, like, that's him being straight on. It does turn a little. It is on a ball joint, so you get a little bit of up and down as well. Not a ton of range of motion, honestly. A lot of it has to do with how just bulky and cluttery everything is there. The shoulders here are on ball joints, so you get a nice range of motion there. You can see it does, when you lift it, kind of make that whole thing shift, so just kind of hold it there. These little pieces here can flex out. They're on like almost like ratchet joints. At least that one is. This one just feels like it. Oh no, that's a bit of a ratchety kind of joint as well. So you want to have those out a little bit just to kind of flare things and give it a kind of shoulder armor sort of look. So you do have that. It does rotate at the upper part of the bicep, bends here at the elbow. That piece opens up. It's not POTA. I do kind of wish that this piece was black. I don't know why they couldn't have made it black, to be totally honest. I mean, it's a completely separate piece. So I don't know why they couldn't do that. I think it would have looked a little bit better, especially in terms of matching with this arm, because sculpt-wise, they are the exact same from what I can see. I mean, obviously, this has the hinge thing, but in terms of the detailing and molding, it's basically the exact same as this one, so that's a little bit unfortunate. He does rotate at the waist, but you do want to be careful as you're going around because these little pieces here kind of can get in the way, but part of the transformation is that, so you do have that range of motion. He does have hips, moves in and out, forward and back. I like the kind of reflective color that is. It's kind of like a greenish, kind of teal color with like the rest of the body, but that has a nice reflective look to it, which looks good. Rotates at the upper part of the thigh, bends here at the knee, and then I guess you could say his toes can point. So fairly standard range of motion with him. The only thing that's really lacking is the head, and that does get problematic, especially if you want him to look to the left. Kind of stinks, but setting him back, and now coming to Draginicus. And again, like I said, bigger dude. He makes up the majority of the body of Dragonstorm, and he's bulky. I mean, he's a hefty little dude, and I like I said, I like it, especially in the swords, because as I said, these just appear to be ones that are just gonna beat you down. Heavy duty swords, which work really nicely for him because he's a big dude. He's not gonna be very agile and, you know, kind of elegant with his sword fighting. He's just gonna blast you with it, which is great. Nice detail as well coming in to take a little bit of a closer look. The head, really nice head as well. You got some of that red paint for the eyes. You got some nice kind of silver, the accents around the head, and then a nice kind of reflective little bit. It almost looks like there's kind of swirls in there of silver. It's hard to tell, but it does look really nice. And then you look at the torso, and that's very much like the wings in terms of having a kind of cream base color, and then, or well, maybe even, I don't even know. I mean, that's really tough to tell. I would imagine that it's just, actually, I think it's green underneath. I think the green is what's the base plastic, and then you got the cream put over it, and then you got some nice kind of dry brushing of silver, which looks really very sharp. Again, kind of lacking some of it in terms of some of the other areas, but you got some nice additional colors here. You get a little bit more color here than what you do on Storm Rain. You get a little bit more of a kind of, I guess, even look in the fact that he's got the dragon heads on both of his arms, so that's kind of cool. It's different than what Storm Rain has, which I like. It creates a different look entirely for the guy, but real nice detail. I mean, you can see bulky and thick. Come down to the legs, and you got some of that kind of swirly sort of teal plastic right down there. Obviously, you got just kind of drab gray for the knees, and then nice paint detail for the lower portion of the legs. Overall, I mean, again, a really nice looking figure. You can see just how big he is, and I dig that. I mean, honestly, kind of gives him like an enforcer look. You can take the wings if you want to, and you can spread these out, give them kind of a look like that if you really wanted to, or just, I mean, you don't even have to do it fully extended. You could do something like that, which still looks pretty cool, but I do really prefer just keeping them hinged in. I think that's still a pretty decent look and gives kind of like a little cape kind of appearance here in the back, which a lot of these kind of Dragon Knight sort of things have. Obviously, as I was showing you, you can leave the swords stored here on the back if you want. That's a matter of personal preference, and at least you do have storage for the actual robot mode. His articulation, the head does have a ball joint. You get a nice range of motion. You can look left and right. You can look up and down a little. You just want to make sure that that's pushed all the way back, because if that's kind of pushed forward, it's going to limit his articulation, which kind of stinks. The shoulders, ball joints, obviously, because again, these are the dragon heads. You get a nice range of motion there. He rotates. It's stiff, but it rotates here at the upper part of the bicep, bends at the elbow. You don't have anything at his waist that is, you can see everything kind of like locks in here. So you do have a little bit of a limitation there, but the hips move forward and back nicely. They have soft ratchet joints moving in and out. You got a swivel here at the, oh, that's some really nice, I didn't even notice that before. You got some really gorgeous molded detail on the inside here that's kind of like gears and stuff. That's amazing. I like that. So you do have that range of motion. He bends here at basically 2 points at the knee, so you can kind of flex this piece a little bit, and then you got that one right there. And then the ankles here, as I was talking about, do rotate. You get a little bit more of a motion here than really what I could create for the dragon mode. So I mean, you can get a pretty decent wide pose with it, and then moves up and down, rotates. So all that articulation is basically there as well, with the exception of the waist joint. So still pretty solid in terms of the posability options for the guy. And I really do think they look cool together. Both modes, I think, are really nice. I think individually the bot modes come across fairly decently. Probably Dragonicus a little bit more, just because he doesn't have that same hollow back nature that Stormrain has, but he is kind of like a shell. So there's some, give and take here. And again, both of these combined to make one robot. So to me, it's excusable that there's some aspects that are a little bit hollow on these guys. Now for the transformation back, I guess we can start off with Dragonicus. You're going to take the foot, you're going to tuck those away, which I completely forgot to do before. I'm just going to spread these wings out, kind of get things pulled away from the body, rotate these, just kind of set things up. Rotate him here at the thigh, and then you want to detach that and then hinge that back. Bring these forward and then collapse this up on itself. It's a little bit tricky to do, and then you have a little tab right here that it's going to slot on the inside of this gray bit. So just find that and shift that, locks that into place just like that. And I guess right now we can also take these and swivel these out. Makes it a little bit easier to do all that. So again, rotate that around, bring this, accordion that down like so, tab that in right there. Basically you have these legs done. Get, again, kind of, well, I guess I can put these hands away now too. Rotate this around, and then that'll kind of push out the actual dragon head. I kind of wish that there was a flap here on the bottom to cover that up. The dragon mode, that's the bottom of it, so you don't necessarily see it that much, but you kind of can see it, or maybe at least make the hand black. I mean, that would probably look a little bit better and kind of blend in there. I know that Stormrain has that black hand, so it blends in a little bit better, but we don't have that here, unfortunately. So pull this hand out, rotate this around, hold that, bring that guy out, and then you can take this whole chest piece here and you're going to separate this and hinge that out. Again, you just kind of have to make sure that it clears the little shoulder pieces right there. And you can then rotate this. You want to angle this around and then spin that so that the neck actually kind of flexes up. And then when you do that, you can pull these little arm bits out. So again, these little shoulder bits are going to be on the bottom section of the neck. So again, rotate that, spin that around, rotate the upper bicep to get the head in the proper position. Fold this out, kind of spin that, get that out of the way. Then come around here to the head. You want to rotate his head around and then rotate this back. Now, I've noticed that this actually does pop off very easily, so be careful when you're doing it. It could dislodge it, so get these arms lifted up and out of the way. Basically, you have this done. Get that there. I'm going to rotate these legs out just to make it a little bit easier. So you kind of have the outer shell right there. Now, coming over to Stormrain, again, you want to tuck the hands up and under, lift this, and then like I was saying, because this hand is black, when you rotate that around, that kind of blends in a little bit better there. It's still gappy, but it's not that bad. Then come around here, we're going to detach this. You can spin his head around like so, get these lifted up, and then you hinge all this up. So hinge and hinge, then rotate this around, and you're going to then spin this and bring this along the side just like that. Keep everything nice and tucked in. And then let's see, this is the back, so you want to again make sure that that's the bottom section. Rotate here, very stiff joint. And then the waist, you want to rotate that. I tend to forget. Here we go. Yeah, so bring that, and then this section you want to detach. This is going to hinge up and kind of sit right there. You can point the toe, fold out the little tail here from the back of that leg, rotate that, and then spin this, and then this is going to come down just like so. And there you have Nessie from Loch Ness monster right there. There's a floating little dragon thing. So then we come around here, and this part can be a little bit tricky to get everything. You have a little tab right here that does line up with a slot right there. So bring that up and in, kind of fit that there, and line everything up kind of like along the back, and there we go. And you can see how that kind of lines up kind of flush, and then when you have that pushed in, that will go all the way up, and you can kind of see right here, again pulling this out so you can see what I did, the back section here kind of lines up with the back, so just kind of give that a good little push right there, kind of getting everything into place. And then let me see, do I have this tabbed in there properly? Yeah, and then there's another tab on the underside here that you have to kind of tab the tail bit in. That gets a little bit tricky, so what I'm trying to do is all underneath, and it's hard to show you it, so just there you go, fiddle with that, get that lined up, push that in there nice and secure. Like this flexes down and locks there, so again kind of give that a light little push to squeeze everything nicely. Then come around here. This part can be tricky as well. Keep these legs out of the way. You got little tabs. When you rotate this around here, you have a little tab right there that has to kind of line up with this, so it's tricky to line that up properly. Well, let me see if I can even show you. It's hard to kind of see it, but you got a little slot right here that goes kind of up and down, and then you have another one behind it that goes this way. That's gonna tab into this, so you have to make sure that you bring that around and you kind of look from this side and push that in right there. Do that on this side as well, and this one usually is a little bit trickier to get lined up. So let me see, just squeeze all that together and kind of reach in there to push that tab there, and that actually lined up so much easier. Is that actually fully pushed in? It might not be fully pushed in. So just kind of get that little bit as close as you possibly can. Wow, that's pretty impressive that actually worked. So get that down, straighten out his head, then you come around here, and then that detached a little bit, squeeze all that. So again, you got a little slot right on the back here that's going to come around, and you lift this up and under, and then get those wings out of the way, lift this and slot that in right there. Do that on this side as well. Lift that, slot that down and in, and then you're just kind of cleaning everything up. Straighten the little tail bit, fold the little feet back, creating his little walking kind of pose. Angle these, bring these down, lock these little elbows to help, like I said, support the weight. You can then position these heads kind of however you want. You can open these wings, get a cool flying pose for them, and when you're done, there you have Dragonstorm back in his dragon mode. And I really am happy with how this guy turned out. In terms of dragon mode, the sculpting, the paint applications, everything on here really is very nice. There are aspects that I do wish did get some extra paint, but for the most part, I'm happy with the look. Transformation is very simple, but I think they did a really good job in terms of taking two robots and making them coalesce to form one dragon. I think it's really cool how they did it. And then robot mode, while yes, they do have kind of a hollow aspect, I think they still display very nicely. Articulation is limited in some areas. However, again, the same paint detail and sculpting work really does come through and make for good looking figures. And as you can see, when you display them with the rest of the kind of knights that we've gotten, in my opinion, they all look pretty darn cool. So all that being said, if Dragonstorm here is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, he will be hitting various retail locations fairly soon. So if you're looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, you can keep your eye on places like Big Bad Toy Store. For that, all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformers The Last Knight figures. And yes, while you're down there in the video description, check out the link where you can pre-order your Optibotimus hat. Pre-orders are going from now until August 31st, and during the special introductory time, if you're one of the first 50 to pre-order it, the price will only be $20 plus shipping. After that, it will go up to the full price of $30. So if you're a fan of mine, you enjoy my content, and want to help support the channel, I would encourage you to take a look at the pre-orders. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way towards helping me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. It's free, and you'll get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you'll never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, do me a real quick favor and click on that little bell right below this video, and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And as always, until next time, till all are one.